Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, November 15th, and today we give you the weekend update to RODY. What is RODY? Well, it's a different type of option strategy that I've kind of been trying, and to be honest, I'm loving it. And we'll talk about it. But before we even get to that, we got to update you on Bitcoin price. How we doing here? Is Bitcoin recovering? Is Bitcoin flying high? No. Bitcoin is dropping, and it continues to drop. It's now at 95,000. And are we headed to 65, 75,000? Maybe. Are we buying the dip? Yes, of course we are. Are we liking the dip? No. Enough with the stupid dip. Stop dipping. I've been buying the dip before the dip and the other dip and this dip and that dip, and shut up about the damn dip. All right. But whatever. Sick of talking about Bitcoin. Let's talk about RODY. All right. So let's get to what RODY is. Again, here to lay it out as a visual. Let's see if we can do 200 and see how long it lasts. So basically, think of it, if you're a YieldMax investor, or you used to be, think of it like a YieldMax type investment you're doing yourself, except with the downside protection, and except obviously you have the flexibility to do whatever you choose, right? So there's 4 legs, 3 go together. The ones that go together, it's a buy call, it's a sell put, it's a, oh, I didn't put sell. There you go, sell, make it consistent. Buy call, sell put, buy put. So the buy call, that's what allows you to sell covered calls, essentially making that a poor man's covered call. And, but it doesn't end there. We save money on the expense of that long call, right? Because the sell put almost offsets the expense depending on where you choose the strike price. And then, of course, when you sell that put, you're now, you have downside risk. But in order to eliminate some of that risk, what you do is you buy a put with a lower strike price from what you sold the put on, if that makes sense. And then those 3 legs, typically that's a further dated expiration. That, what do? You wait, you hope it goes up in due time. But in the meantime, you're just selling calls. You're selling calls at the money, a little out of the money, whatever you want. You're making an income on the amount that you invested into that RODY position, if that makes sense. All right. Kids are awake, so here comes the screaming. But yeah, so we'll get into the trades that I'm doing. I got definitions, not going to go through that. I'm working on a rules list. When I complete it, right now it's a little messy. I don't even know what's what. We'll work on that. I'll share it. And then I have my watch list. This is basically who is on it. I should probably delete Meta, because I'm never going to add Meta unless they have a forward stock split, right? A regular stock split, and then they become affordable, right? Now, even doing this strategy, it's just still not affordable for me to do it. And then I have screenshots for some of the trades. So I want to show you that, but more importantly, I want to show you this part. So I said I never confirmed. So if we go to the sample here, normally when you sell a put, so if you sell a $6 put, one contract, that's, essentially $600 being put on hold in your account, right? Cash collateral, it goes as pending. So you can't really touch that money. All right. That's on hold. But if I sell a put at 6, did we put the freaking garbage in out? Oh, we did. Thank God. Oh my God. I almost freaked out. Our garbage has been full for freaking the whole week. All right. Anyway, so if I buy the put just under it here at 5, right? So instead of, now, again, I had 600 as collateral held in my account. Now 500 is taken away because I have the protection of the put. So now cash collateral on hold is only $100. So again, I'm saving capital. There is an expense to buying the put, but I am saving the capital that is being held in my account. I'm not going to say held hostage, but kind of that way, right? All right. So anyway, the screenshots, what I wanted to show you is I had 27,956 as my option requirement. They used to call it put requirement or cash secured put requirement. Now Charles Schwab shows it as options requirement. So they showed that I had 27,956 essentially locked up because of puts, selling puts, right? So I did a trade. I added to, which we'll get into, I added to my Palantir trade. And basically, there was a downside of essentially, I forget what the amount was. The difference between the put was about like $3,500. So the put spread. So I checked my new options requirement. It went from 27,000 to essentially 31,000, which increased it by 35.26. Okay, plus or minus. Of course, there's other movements within that affect it. So the point is, your options requirement is truly adjusted based on the put spread, right? So when you sell a put and buy the put, you're gonna have to cover that put spread. Okay, which again, I never confirmed this until now. I know you. Most of you probably just trust that's the brokerage is doing that. So, and that's fine, but I needed to run the numbers myself. All right, now that I bored you with that, let's get into the actual trades. So open, again, I have open in here. I have them as a synthetic position, 6 contracts. You can see I added 3, and then I added 3. All of them have an $8 synthetic price. All right. So let's go to the calls. All right. So I'm selling calls on them. I'm doing my thing. What do we got here? So for this week, what do we have? We had, well, we already had 2 down here. This was already here that expired for next Friday. This is 2 contracts at $8. So that's alone. That's standalone. But then I had an 8 and I had an 850. And I don't know if you saw, but open, it's starting to move, and it did move. So I moved my 8 to 850 and my 850 to 9. So what I did is a rolling order here, right? Rolling order on all of these. And I took, see how these were separated? I decided to make my life easy, and I closed these and moved them together. So now I'm going to do scatter-de-do at at the 2 contract level instead of doing 1 contract, for each. So now I have 2 contracts, $8 covered call for next week, and then an 850 and a 9 for the following week. And you can see how much I made in premium, versus how much I paid to close. Obviously, I had to pay more to close these, because at the time open was up. Open has tanked since then. In fact, let's just check the after hours, see what it did. It's 819, so that's okay. But whatever, I feel like it's going to run. I could be wrong, but I'm comfortable now using these 3 strike prices, 8, 859. Again, my synthetic position is at 8, so my lowest strike price is at 8. So I'm very comfortable with that at this moment. Open is actually a very good position for me. I have made $1,147 trading options so far. For the week, I made $550. All right, and that's for and you can see last week flipped negative only because the closing price of those positions cost more than the open price. So in the end, it was like a loss. So the here's the actual synthetic position. You can see what it's worth right now. This is what I paid to open it, and this is what it's worth at this very moment. So basically, I paid $1,200. It's now worth $1,128. So the unrealized loss right now is $72. All right, but we'll get into that at the end of towards the end of the video. SOFI, I have 5 synthetic positions. I'm not going to get into that. But as far as the calls, again, this is probably my best position. What I did is I closed, I did 2 rolling orders, and I did a buy to close. They were very cheap. You can see I kept 92, 95% of the profit, and I rolled all those, and now we're here we are. We have 4 contracts pending. So I'm selling calls on 4 contracts for next week. Strike price of 28, 29, 31, 32. All right. The 30, I did not roll. I just closed it because I wanted at least one contract in case we pop on the Monday. Then we could sell. You know, even if we don't pop, I'm selling calls, right? So I'm just taking a gamble on one position and then hoping we pop on the Monday, and we'll see. And if it pops, great. Then I could sell. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. It dropped though. I mean, it's at 27.82, but this thing's been in this range for a while, and you know, I'm very comfortable in trading SOFI. So I've made $1,226 in options premium so far, $82 for the week, which is not a lot, but again, it's you know, it's a good, you know, it's week by week. So let's see, what do we got here? This is again, the expense of the synthetic was $2,204. That's how much I paid. Right now it's worth $1,868. So unrealized loss $335.50. But again, I don't care about that because this expires on May 15th, 2026. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you do want to keep an eye, kind of, just to have an idea, like, are we way underwater? No, we're not. We're doing just fine. ELF. Okay, you ready for this? Y'all ready for this? So. I've been through a first here. So remember this position? Remember our first ELF position? 125. Yeah. So we buy a call, sell a put at 125. By the way, when you sell a put, you are saying, I will buy those shares at this price by this date. 125, that was the price at the time. ELF has dropped to $73. All right. So the buyer said, I am not waiting until January 16th. The buyer said, I am exercising my right to this position. And guess what? Oh, yeah. We got assigned early. So let's check out the screenshot. Here it is. One of your short positions has been assigned. Okay. Date 11/14. Our records indicate one contract of your short ELF 116.26 125 put option has been assigned. So yesterday morning, I got that email and I said, oh, okay, Cletus. All right. So I had to deal with that, right, at the market open. But basically, when that happened, I'm updating this. All right. Early close date. Not by choice, obviously. It closed 11/13. So that was the Thursday. It did close on the Thursday. They send me the notice overnight, though. So it is effective. So if I look at the brokerage, the morning of, yesterday morning, it was gone. Not gone, but this trade was gone. And guess what? I was a proud owner of 100 shares of ELF with a 125 cost basis. So yes, this got assigned. For selling the put, I did get a 1403 credit, but I had to pay 125 per share. So that was a loss of $11,097. So you can see here, assigned. Now, it's not over. Don't worry. We had backup. We had a butt buddy. We had a buy put. We bought a put. Remember, there's another piece to this. So since we bought a put of $100, that gave us the right to sell 100 shares at $100. So you know what? Since they assigned me 100 shares and I had to pay $12,500, guess what I did? I exercised my right to this option, and we'll go back to the screenshot. Again, it's the first time I've ever did this. I clicked exercise stock, and I exercised my right to sell my shares at $100, even though ELF was selling at what, 73, 74 bucks, whatever the price was at the time. I exercised my right and I sold them. You're going to give me shares at 12.5. I'm going to sell my shares at $10,000. So what happened is, yes, 12,500 cash came out of my account to buy those shares, but then I got right back $10,000 when I exercised my right. So in the end, the loss on this position was 1,537. All right. So these two transactions, these are gone. These are closed. These are done. This is a realized tax event. So we can actually now move on, and we don't have to think about it. But what about this little bro up here? Well, I have options. The number one option, typically you probably just want to get out of the whole position. So what I could have done is I could have did a sell to close this position and probably get little to nothing. But what I decided to do is keep this position open, this buy call, and think about selling calls on it, up until expiration. But what I don't want to do is get caught, right? I don't want to sell calls for a strike price that's going to get caught, which would get me assigned and put me in trouble, make me lose even more money. That's why you would probably sell out of it, because you don't want to lose any more money. But I'm going to keep these, and I'm going to consider on a pop, on a green day, maybe sell calls way out of the money, collect a little premium for little risk. Because why the hell not? I already have this position. Again, it's going to offset the loss that we took on the synthetic that got assigned, if that makes sense. All right. I know that was a lot, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, don't forget, I still have a synthetic position of a $75 strike price. All right. Does that make sense, everyone? I know we are live, so I should probably look at questions. Well, here's a question from Parabolic. Is the buy put leg what makes this a synthetic? No. Well, just the buy call alone makes it a synthetic, really, because you think about it, it's like a fake position. You're fake. You don't actually own the underlying. You're faking it by owning it through an option, right? I don't know what the true definition of synthetic is, but it's, think about it that way. But no, the buy put does not make it. The buy put makes it a collar, right? It makes it protected. It makes me happy, the buy put. So, all right. Anyway, let's get to the calls. So I had to close out this call. I had you guys remember maybe a diagonal. So I did a sell call and a buy call at sell call 82, buy call 90. And I was doing this on the long call position, and I closed it. And I kept 92% profit. But again, am I going to do diagonals on the long call that has a 125 average? Maybe. I don't freaking know. We have to see. We have to see what happens. But yeah. And also I did buy to close the other position, and I didn't even reopen because, again, the market has been selling off so bad. I am trusting that we're going to open green on Monday. So I'm basically gambling on that aspect, which sometimes is not a smart move. But I'm hoping it is in this example because the bleeding was pretty rough. All right, now if we look at this page, the synthetic. So again, I grayed out these two because they're gone, but we still have the buy call. You can see I spent $16.16 on that, and right now it's only worth $32.50, right? So if I did sell it, this is what I would have got around there. So to me, that's not even worth it. So why not just sell calls, on a very, very low delta, and not even 20, like 10, maybe even less, just something super safe, because I don't want to get assigned. I don't, not this, no. But this one, yeah, I can sell calls at 75 or above, and I'll be comfortable about it, right? But all right, so anyway, you could see here the expense of the current synthetic is $2,144. The value of the current synthetic 622. So I am at a realized loss. I'm sorry, an unrealized loss of 1,521. All right. Moving on to Robinhood. I have two contracts on Robinhood, a 140 and a 145 synthetic. I'm selling calls on that. Same thing here, though. I rolled them earlier in the week into next week, and then the market continued to tank. So when I rolled them, I collected an additional 38 and 66 bucks, and I'm sorry, 68 and 116 bucks. But I closed them one day later, and I kept 55 and 56% of the profit. Because again, I don't know. I feel like we have the whole weekend to sit back, relax, get over it. And I'm hoping, you know, if Monday's not green, it really doesn't matter. I'm still going to sell calls. But I'm really hoping and feeling like there's going to be a little green, even if it's flat, great. If it's flat, fine. Then obviously I lose out on the volatility over the weekend, the premium I could have made over the weekend. But, you know, that risk, I'm willing to accept that risk here because, you know, again, last week was very brutal. So let's hope for a somewhat of a decent recovery. All right. Yeah, Robinhood, I made what, 104 this week. All right, so if we look at Robinhood Holdings, how's the synthetic doing? Again, I'll try to make it quick. 3,342 is the what I paid for it. It's actually barely even worth anything, 57.50. So I have an unrealized of 3,284. Because again, when I started a lot of these positions, it was before the market decided to go, you know, timber. So it's been rough, but again, we have the downside protection because you can see here, look, see, we bought this put here, 115. I paid 13.13. It's worth 18.65. So the puts, they're up. I'm up 42% on this put. I'm up 35% on that. So the protective puts are helping, right? They are minimizing the damage, but Robinhood, you know, I believe in it long term. This expires May. So I trust this will recover. So what we'll do is we'll just make money selling calls along the way. All right. Makes sense? I hope so. All right. Last but not least, Palantir. I added to Palantir. All right. So I added to my synthetic. I've been wanting to, and here we are. But I did something a little different. Usually, like Palantir was trading at 176. I should have done a 175 normally, like added to a synthetic and, you know, chose a 175. However, being, you know, a degenerate, I did a 180, and that way I saved money. In fact, I made money on the synthetic combo alone. I made $1.03 per share. But then I had to buy the put again. So about 20%, approximately 20% under the strike price of the actual synthetic combo. I buy a put at 145. That cost about $14.80 per share. So to add one new contract for Palantir, it did cost me $1,377. But guess what? I can sell calls now on 2 contracts. All right. And I did that. And I'll show you that in a second. So if I go up here, what do we got here? So we had one that was expiring last week. We did a rolling order. You could see how much did I pay? 5 cents. I kept 97% of the premium. So that's a win. So I rolled that. What was the strike? I rolled the 180. No, I rolled the 195 to a 190. Because again, my cost basis on my synthetic is what? 190 and 180. So I rolled that down to a 190. The 180, I actually sold a call above the strike of the synthetic because I'm a wussy and I think it's going to recover. And I, you know, 5% out of the money, and the delta on that was about 0.24. But whatever, I got 187 bucks for that. So these are actually open through the weekend. So I am selling calls actively on Palantir. They were not cheap enough to close, which is why I didn't close them early and at least keep one contract open for the Monday. But again, these are pretty far out of the money. So even if we recover on Monday, I'm not worried about, you know, even again, if these, I welcome these getting blown through, it'll be okay. All right. All right. Palantir Holdings, their synthetic, again, the expense out of pocket, 3,276, current value, 1,762. So you can see there's a lot of unrealized losses here. So a lot of gold diggers essentially in my holdings because I'm down about 1,500 on this position. Weekly income, capital. Oh, I didn't update this. Capital used. Yeah, again, I'm trying to make sure this makes sense. All right, so capital used. We got what? That plus that plus that plus that plus that. All right, so let me update these formulas. So I made 1,155 with using approximately $28,000 in capital. That's a 4% return for the week. That is a 208% annualized return. All right. So those are the numbers for weekly income for RODY. Monthly income, obviously, I'll update at the end of November. Now, this is the fun part, active holdings. So I guess I'll keep the Zoom as is, and then we'll get to, kind of questions at the end. So let's look at open. All right. Again, it's very simple to follow. Synthetic collar, that's the buy call sell put, and the buy put, right? So that's the expense of it all. Right? Now I'm second guessing myself. The 1,200, that's the expense. So that's, again, how much I paid for the synthetic, which is buy call, sell put, buy put. Now, covered calls, I have made 1,147. So you can see I'm $53 away from offsetting the expense of starting that position. And don't forget, this position expires in May. So I have, a good 7 months to still trade and make bank on essentially my house money position. Also, don't forget, it is a possibility that open can go to 0 or, below 6, which would give me a put spread risk of an additional $1,200. So although I'm currently only at a loss of $53 in my mind, if I consider the put spread risk, I'm still at risk of 1,253. And that's really what you need to consider. All right. That is your true risk. This is my true risk of this position based on how much I've made so far. That's also a 5% exposure of my total RODY position, which is not a lot. Now, we talked about the synthetic value, right? That's the value of the synthetic position at the moment. If I net it with the expense of the original cost of the synthetic, I'm at a negative $72. However, if I add the covered call income, obviously that gives me 1,075, which is a return on investment. If I take that and divide by the expense, that's a return on investment of 89%, which again, not bad, right? So far, bad things can happen, but so far I have made a return on investment of 89%. This is by far my best position out of the group. It only gets worse from here. But SOFI, again, I'm doing pretty good on SOFI. It cost me 2,200. I made about 12. So you can see I'm only down 978. But if I add the put spread risk, I'm, total at risk 3,078, which is 12% of the RODY fund. Now, if we look at the as-at values, you can see my synthetic value. And then if I net it with the original expense, I'm in the negative. But if I add the calls, I'm at 891. And that is a 40% return on investment, which is good. It's good in a short time period. Now, when we get to ELF, you're going to see we got our asses handed to us a little bit. So our synthetic collar, this expense, we added that loss, that 10,000. Well, it was a 12,500 expense net of the 10,000, $2,500 loss. That is in here, right? Because if we go here now to the ELF synthetic, that's all added here. If you see, right? We added. We hit it now, but where is it? Right here, you can see negative 11, but positive 9560, right? That's there, bringing the number down, right? Bringing the expense, the loss higher. But again, hopefully that makes sense. But let's get back to the holdings. So yeah, out of pocket 3,681, covered call income 1,162. We are at a loss currently of 2,519. Total at risk $4,019. All right. So yes, a little more exposure, 16% exposure, and it doesn't get any better down here. The synthetic value is only 623. Synthetic net negative 3,059. Net of the calls negative 1,897. Our return on investment is negative 50%. like I said, not pretty, but I trust we can get out of this rut. Now, Robinhood, slightly better than ELF. Synthetic cost 3,300. We made about 1980. So we're at a loss currently of 1,362. Again, we're just trying to flip this green, and then we're trying to flip this green. It's going to be a process. But again, it's not usual where, again, the timing of me starting this whole thing was horrible, if you think about it. But I'm not worried because I do have the protective put. So again, that just, it gives me all the, who would have thought, you know, I never hedged anything. I never bought a put in my life. Now that I'm doing this, I feel just so much better about it in general. But again, we'll see. This is my first time, first go around. Maybe I'll just get my ass kicked. We don't know. All right, total exposure here on Robinhood, 29%. And then you can see the synthetic value. Again, it ain't worth crap at the moment, unfortunately. And then if you net it with the original expense, we're in the negative. If you add the covered call income, we're still in the negative. Our return on investment, negative 39%. All right, so that's that. And is this the, yeah, that's the totals there. And then Palantir, again, we just added to it. So we're at an expense of 3,276. Covered call income, kind of weak, 756. Put spread risk, big bucks there, 70. That's a lot of money. So we got a lot of money on Palantir. We do. So, you know, we're down. We're at a loss of 2,520. Possible loss could be 10,020. That's a lot of money. 39% of my exposure is in Palantir. So more than Robinhood. I wanted Robinhood to be my biggest position. So I will probably add a third contract at some point, especially if the market keeps tanking. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So you can see the synthetic value, not bad, 1,763. If I net that with the original expense, we're down in the negative 1,500. Add the covered call income, we're still negative 758. Return on investment, negative 23%. All right, adding this all together, synthetic value, 5,439. If I net that with, how is this positive? Oh, I did the average. Yeah, I don't want to do that actually. Let's do this. There you go. Okay. Yeah, so my overall position return on investment is negative 14%. But again, it's going to take me a while because a lot of the expense is up front. So it's going to take me a while to sell enough cover call premium to flip this green. All right. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then obviously I'm not doing enough job explaining it. But if you have any questions on RODY, let me know now. If not, I'm going to move over to the wheel strategy. I may have to scroll back to see. Oh, I'm done talking for the day. All right, let's see. Okay, no questions. So I'm just going to move on to the wheel strategy. But like I said, this is like my balance sheet. This is my account now because I'm all options now. I'm all options. I'm not anything. I'm not doing ETFs unless it's on doing options myself. But basically, this is my portfolio. It's real estate, it's financials, consumer staples, more financials, and technology. So, you know, like I said, there's other sectors that we should consider. But again, it all depends on the high IV. It all depends on the company. Is anything, you know, worth a damn on adding? We'll keep an eye. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. All right, so now we move on to, I'll say, the easier strategy, the wheel strategy. And I got to be honest with you guys, it's becoming a bit much monitoring both RODY and the wheel strategy. So I'm going to slowly get out of my wheel positions. I know I've said this before, but now I'm actually going to do it because, you know, Thursday and Friday, it was freaking, you know, it's just a lot. It was a lot. So TSLL, I think I'm going to add TSLL to RODY. I want to try it because, again, if you think about it, doing the wheel on TSLL, it's a no-brainer because it's a cheap stock. But, you know, I can trade more on TSLL, using the RODY strategy versus what I'm doing here. But whatever, regardless. So again, my thought is I'm going to slowly, only because I can't manage the two strategies together, especially for spreadsheet tracking. I'm not saying the wheel strategy is bad. I'm just saying I want to give more time to the other strategy, so I can fully give it, more attention, fully understand it, fully get used to it. It may end up being that it's just not for me, but I really think it is a better choice, to be honest, from what I can see so far. But yeah. So here's Ambassador. Don't do a synthetic on a leverage fund. But yeah, no, we have a rule on that. We're not going to go out further than like 3 months. If I do open a synthetic on a leverage fund, actually, let me check the rule on that. We do have a rule on that. Again, I'm working on my rules. Where is it? Okay, expiration date on leverage funds. Yeah, only go up to 90 days. So that's the thought behind it, because obviously, they do erode over time due to the daily balancing. So over a 90-day time frame, that should be a little more manageable versus doing, say, 6 months to a year. But yeah, but if you think about it, I'm already like holding these for such a long term using the wheel. Like I've held these 500 shares forever. Look at my first assignment, February. So, these it's just that Tesla's been doing so well that I'm not, noticing any erosion because the freaking stock is just flying high. So anyway, I like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail on the wheel. I'm just going to go through some numbers. But like I said, I don't know what you guys think. Actually, I'm curious on feedback since we are live. What do you think, based on what you see? Would you do both strategies, wheel and RODY, or would you just do RODY or just the wheel? Or what do you do today? Like, would you, do you do both? But anyway, so if I look at weekly income for TSLL, I made $125. Again, this is a freaking money maker. This is an income machine, right? Income machine. And I'm up on my position. If you look, my cost basis on TSLL is $16.21. And if I adjust it with all this premium, I've made $7,536 in premium for this wheel. My adjusted cost basis is $10.73, which I don't use. But again, when I close out this wheel, we'll go over how much profit was actually made. Again, the wheel is awesome. It is. It's easy. It's really, you can keep it really simple. But yeah. Nikki says, I would do the strategy that makes the most money. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but which is better? Quit the corporate gig. I know, soon enough, right? We'll get there. TNA, like I said, I only have 100 shares left on this. I could lower. I have a covered call at 45. What's my cost basis? 35. I'm gonna probably, I'll do it in the money. I'm gonna adjust this probably down. Let this, I'll do an in the money call. Let it get assigned and go bye-bye. Like I said, I need to focus on RODY more just so I fully grasp it. And I'm able to give it more time, more love, and I can explain it to you guys a little better. So let's see, what do we got here? You were saying you were up and it's a money-making machine. Sounds like the wheel is working. Well, if you think about it, I'm basically going to do the same thing on what I'm doing with TSLL. Yes, TSLL, I'm saying, is the money maker, right? They're the money machine. I'll just move, the strategy versus, instead of like selling puts or selling calls, I'm going to own, the position through a synthetic and sell calls, again, based on the synthetic position. All right. Anyway, so that's TNA. Again, open. Well, how much did I make on I made a lot of TNA this week from that covered call. So I made about what, $381. So that's not bad right there. Let's add up. Let's go to open. Again, I added new positions on open. I probably shouldn't have, since I'm trying to get out of the wheel. Made about what, 226 on open. ST. Oh, I forgot to check my ST. I had a covered call. I believe this expired worthless, right? They closed at 108. I'm just pulling up the brokerage right now on my phone. If I go to my ST position, yes, so there's no covered call and my shares are still there. So this expired worthless. So if I go here now, well, own covered is 0. Now, if I go down here, you can see my cost basis is horrible on this, 275, but this one, my net cost basis is $1.02. So what I could do is I could sell covered call. I could just sell it at a $1 strike and be at a profit when I get out of ST. BMNU, this is my loss. This is going to be a massive loss. And I don't even give a crap, to be honest. You can see I'm selling puts at 20, 17, and 15. I'm so over this one. I'm done. I'm moving on. The price is now in the single digits. It's at $9. These expire next week. So I have to wait till next week to get assigned. And then I'm going to sell at the money or in the money covered calls. And I'm going to let these shares go freaking bye-bye. All right. NAC, I was playing. I don't even know if they had earnings. I was playing earnings and I can't even find out if they had earnings or not. But, you know, obviously I need to do more research. But same thing. I'm just going to sell aggressive calls, let these go. These are my first leaps ever. TSLL, I did a sell to close order. I made $5.35 per share since TSLL went down. So you can see I paid $5.15 per share. And I sold it for $5.35. I know, wow, $20 profit, whoopee-doo. But it was more of a learning experience. So again, this is how, just to put alone, I made money for the stock going down, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can just buy puts by itself, make money that way if you think the stock market's going to go down. And I did, which is cool. But again, it's just you know, it's you trying to predict what's going to happen. And then I still have the 3 leaps on open. I know open's been running up, but these still are, they're just not worth closing. So I'm going to leave them alone. All right. So what else? Weekly income. So I ended up on the week with an income of $732. Capital used 11,000. Return showing 6% annualized. 337. But again, I don't think the numbers I'm using on here versus RODY, I don't think it's really fair, because I do think I am yielding more on RODY because I am using less capital. All right. The kids are going nuts. I got to end this video soon anyway, because I got to get my ass to the gym. But let's go through some comments. Let me turn on the music real quick. Into space. There you go. All right, so let's see. 1 to 2% weekly. Yeah, I mean, I would be happy with 1 to 2%, but you know, I've been. Yeah, well, the NAC maintenance says 150% on short positions, so. Wheel income for the week is 732, and RODY income is 1,155. So you know, you can see obviously the yield on the wheel shows to be better, but again, I don't think I'm not using the true capital used on, you know, the RODY position. So I have to figure out a better way to compare it. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because I'm trying to slowly get out of some of the wheel positions so I can focus now on this strategy to see how it works. But yeah, Let me know if you guys have any questions. I could probably go another 10 minutes or so. All right. Yep. Half 10K a day. Yeah, brother AB's a beast. Miggs is the most generous man in the space. I think I'm going to do the wheel next week. Thanks. Yeah, go to the gym and get it. Yeah, man, I gotta. So Miggs, do you trade options at all currently? Is the wheel going to be like your first adventure, you know, into options? But I don't know. Let me know about it. Obviously, yeah, we know the RODY. It is a little more involved, a little more complex. So if you're new to options, I would definitely propose focusing on the wheel strategy for sure. Thank you, G Will. All right. Who else we got? We got, yeah, Miggs is king. Heck yeah, Miggs. All right. So any questions before we head out? Did some PLTW and open. PLT. So you did options on PLTW. I wonder how that options chain. It's probably not that good. Open's options chain, on the other hand, is actually really amazing. But yeah, the kids are obnoxious. I'm not sure if you hear them in the background. But that being said, I hope this RODY and wheel update were helpful. Again, I try to do the updates once or twice a week. Well, at least twice a week for sure. But if there's any questions or anything that you think I should adjust, let me know. But yeah, obviously the RODY, the timing of the RODY was horrible, right? You add all these positions and then the stock market just tanks. It bleeds to death. But had we not have the protective puts, we would feel a little differently. We'd be like, you know, crying inside. We'd be, you know, crying the blues. But, you know, I'm not worried at all. Because again, I can always add to the synthetic position. The only downside on doing the RODY versus the wheel is RODY expires, you know, to me, like there is an expiration date. So I need things to go a certain way by a certain expiration date, you know, unless I can obviously make enough money through the options premium anyway from the call income. So I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, the coverage will get a little better in due time as I understand what I'm doing more and more, you know, as far as this strategy goes. But again, these are the active holdings. I'm probably not going to add any new position unless there's like a massive opportunity, because 5 is plenty at the moment. And like I said, until I really clear out my wheel strategy, then it is what it is. But yeah, next week I'm planning to flip open green here. And then obviously we'll work on getting SOFI green, and then some of these others will take a little more time, if ever. But like I said, as always, guys, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and this video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. If not, I don't know, come back next time. All right. If you enjoy this content, please hit the like button. You can see, if you can hear that, you guys hear the kids screaming, they're fighting. But what else? That's it. Keyword time. If you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, you gotta say the keyword. What's up, ETF Inspector? What's the keyword for today on this video? We just did the keyword on the other video. What's the keyword on this video? Anyone got one? Anyone? All right. So the keyword is time, keyword time. Yep. All right. So crying. Keyword should be crying. Time. What else we got? Wheels fall off. There you go. See, brother's always got a good one. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, the keyword is wheels fall off, because the wheels are falling off. The wheel strategy, I'm taking a little break. Going to focus on synthetic strategy. We'll see how it goes. All right. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, you got to type wheels fall off either on X or on YouTube. All right. Thank you all for watching and have a good day. Later.